Hello everyone, welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Night Road by Kyle Marquise. I'm your host, Elise Hawes, and we are joining Spade again in the Arizona desert of Tucson. And right now we're going to see Dr. Cowell in their facility, a Tremere who seems to have a bad temper. And we traveled through the night and recently delivered a small parcel, a suitcase of some kind, into an airplane in a very high-speed chase, with the SI and Anarchs going head-to-head and our Spade Ventru caught in the middle of it. As of right now, we have just rested in a small trailer park nearby, escaped without a scratch, and now we are waking up once again. You pass an old mining village, abandoned since cowboy times, and stop to mark its location on the map. A few buildings might offer you cover from the sun if things go badly. There are no signs, and the fence looks just like all the others, but you know you're close when the road gets better. When you spot a headlight in the distance, you instinctively kill your Honda's lights and pull over. Two Kawasaki ATVs rumble down a side road. Men with rifles and helmets ride the ATVs. They look like Border Patrol, but you know they're private security. Good ones, too. Those bolt-action Bad Rock rifles are anything to go by. Those are guns for people who don't miss. One shot will drop a buffalo, or a vampire. You're just wondering whether to turn your lights back on and introduce yourself, since you have all your paperwork in order, when the guards take off, followed by a low-flying quadcopter drone. Another mile down the road, you spot the sheep. They look like regular sheep, except they're wearing tracking collars and have a 4-digit number painted on one flank. These must be Dr. Cowell's xenogenic specimens. You remember Julian's text. He'd like a sample. He's impressed with you so far, but this might really secure his respect and a position in, well, whatever the hell he's doing. I hate Julian, so we're gonna try to take sheep blood, but keep it for ourselves. Just as you hop out of the car and stretch your legs, the xenogenic sheep hurry away into the underbrush. You check the eastern sky, you made good time, and you still have a few hours before dawn. But there's a lot of territory out here. You need a plan. You check your folding knife, because while you have a blood and tissue kit, you also need a sharp blade for bringing down a sheep. Let's check our stats. We have some dexterity. We have intelligence, wits. No athletics. A little bit of combat. We have academics. No survival. Okay. 0 survival. No animalism. No celerity. Well, I don't know how we're going to get the sheep. Well, not trained in wilderness survival. Patient, but my keen senses will not let me sniff out the sheep when the wind changes. I stay in my car and go off-road, taking my time until I see another sheep. We're good at cars, but I don't know if our car can handle it. Let's check. Car. Drive. Drive is 2. I don't know if our car's any good. Let's see here. Do we have, I don't have any aspects either. Well, I think we'll just be patient and sniff a sheep. Sheep sniff. The sheep never had a chance. You dart out of the shadows, your knife flashes, and the animal falls with its throat torn open. You position the vial under the fatal wound and collect 100 milliliters of blood. You pocket the sample for future analysis. Excited to learn what strange secrets the blood can teach you. Yeah, we got the sheep! Yeah! Dr. Cowell's facility consists of several structures. You see a long, low building of green glass and white concrete, trailers for the long-term personnel, and a parking lot. There's also a little outdoor coffee shop with a patio. Behind the main building is a refurbished ranch, a garage for the ATVs, and a landing strip for light aircraft. A high chain-link fence dotted with security cameras surrounds most of the facility. Quadcopter drones drift overhead as you stop at the main gate. The woman guarding the yellow gate takes one look at your laminated introductory letter and immediately buzzes you through. You go on ahead to the intersection, she says, and turn right. There's a trailer waiting for you, number 23. The trailer is clean and blandly furnished, except for the thick maroon drapes, which look like they were borrowed from a castle. They completely blot out the sun, though it still feels safer to sleep in the made-up storage space under the table than on the bed. Dr. Cal knows you're here, but you don't have time to worry just yet. The moment the sun crosses the horizon, you're asleep. Your first thought when you rise is that they're not going to let you through security with your gun. Even your fancy laminated letter won't let you walk around armed. Once you're dressed and cleaned up, you check out security. It isn't as scary as the ATV patrols. It's just one guy with a holstered pistol next to a metal detector. He's watching his laptop in a big atrium with shiny faux marble walls and lots of glass. He's probably busy during the day, but right now it's quiet, though not deserted. Outside the main facility is a detached security office and a little cafe. There's a gap between them where the fence doesn't cover, though there are cameras everywhere in that direction. You consider what to do. I'm not going to cause trouble. I move my weapons into my car. It looks like I have to leave my pistol, but I'm not happy about it. I put everything in my car for a quick getaway. My gun is small. It shouldn't be too hard to smuggle through. There aren't any streets here, but street smarts are always useful. I bribe my way in, and I'll start by convincing the barista to help me for, let's say, $800? I think we can just compel the guard into obedience. Let me keep my stuff. Sure, no problem, the guard says, his eyes rolling back in his head. Good. You enter a circular room illuminated by a giant red hologram of hemoglobin molecule. It's labeled KXG, Kiowa Xenogenics. A party is in full swing, 20 scientists and technicians chatting, drinking wine from fancy glasses, or gathered around a baby grand piano where a man in a tweed jacket is playing ragtime. A whiteboard reads, "Congratulations, Dr. Takahashi, on your..." and then a complex formula. You spot a few equations you recognize from your academic studies, but whatever Dr. Takahashi discovered, it's beyond your immediate grasp. We're about to ruin this party. "You must be the courier," a young woman says. "My name is Vani Anad. Dr. Cal will be here in a few minutes. Until then, help yourself to some wine, and I apologize beforehand if anyone badgers you. We're trapped in here for months at a time, like Antarctic researchers. And anyone new is interesting." Vani isn't really dressed for a party. She's wearing a loose-fitting work shirt full of pens and notebooks, though she put on gold earrings and some red gleam in that holographic light. Before you can chat, Vani gets a text and excuses herself, leaving you at the edge of the party. You scan the crowd, contemplating how to make a good first impression with these people. Dr. Kyle will react badly to the information you're carrying, and you don't want your behavior to make her mood even worse. I scan the crowd for threats. Any weird sorcery on display? I'm always interested in the weird stuff. Any masquerade violations? I hate to be a narc, but even this far out in the wilderness, we can't have sorcery out in the open. Well, we are on 2 masquerade violations. I am kind of looking for a way to lower those. The only thing you worry about is that hologram, because you're not sure how it's being generated, but you're not saying anything egregious in here. Most of the scientists look well off, well fed. There's an old money smell to a lot of them, from the WASP doctors listening to ragtime on the piano to the comfortable-looking computer scientists, most of them immigrants from India and Pakistan. Everyone seems pleased with themselves and a little bored. Everyone except one red-haired woman who sulks in the shadows, pale and sullen-looking. She has the wan look of a blood doll, but her eyes are hard and wild as a trapped wolf's. She wears a long moss-green cardigan that she keeps pulling down over her wrists and silver rings with occult symbols. You can only read part of her shirt under the cardigan. Et tec ace traded. Latin? The Tremere are a bunch of creepy warlocks, but they normally hide better than this. No wonder Prince Leto wants this place shut down. You consider whom to approach and what you want. Potential allies for you and Julian to uncover the secrets of this place. Perhaps to increase your own power. Or maybe just try to put Dr. Kyle in a good mood before your inevitable meeting. This is an upscale and friendly crowd. I persuade them to like me. I want to get in good with them, and by extension, Dr. Cal. I corner that witch and impress her with my knowledge of the occult. I need power for allies, and I want to know more about this place. I want information. Should be easy to pretend that I'm a science reporter and ask the scientists questions. They'll be mad if they realize I'm misinterpreting myself. I want information. It should be easy to pretend I'm a science reporter and ask the scientists questions, though they'll be mad if they realize I'm misrepresenting myself. I'm going to canvass for information and use my investigative skills to learn what Dr. Cowell is up to. Should be easy if I focus purely on facts. Someone here is probably a spy for Dr. Cowell herself, a ghoul or an apprentice. I look around for body language that might give them away, seeking information and allies. I corner one of the scientists and use my power to command him. Tell me what you know about Dr. Cowell's project. Dominate. I think we're actually quite the people pleaser, so I think we're gonna chat with the upscale crowd. You chat up the scientist and try to win them over. They're curious about you, and though most are a bit standoffish and vain, you manage not to embarrass yourself. Hello, Spade, a cool professional voice says. Dr. Cowell sounds like she's the voice of a computer assistant. She's dressed for the celebration in a long red and black dress. It takes your eyes a moment to resolve the serpents and wolves that form in the design. She holds out her black, gloved hand for you to shake, or kiss. You decide to shake. I have heard so much about you, she says. Her face is dark, her hair jet black and worn in a flapper bob. She has thick, expressive eyebrows that bounce around whenever she talks. Her features are animated and friendly in contrast to her flat, chilling, hypnotic voice. Dr. Cowell glances around at the party and says, I'll be back in a few minutes to enjoy the party, everyone. Ta for now. She gives an elegant little wave and then gestures for you to follow the way she might order a dog around. Everyone in the spill zone knows what we are, she says, pointing to a sign that resembles hands spilling out something of a bowl. She ushers you through another silent sliding door into a stark minimalist chamber with hexagonal white floor tiles and cool white walls. Artifacts of sorcery are visible behind frosted glass or in clutches atop hard plastic pedestals. You see mummy fragments and incumbula, fragmentary scrolls and broken amulets. There's a diagram of the California Stonehenge they found a few years back. You've heard of that, since kindred say it was some kind of ritual site. The far side of the room contains a Louis XIV escritoire, a shaker table with a phonograph, and an apparatus for reading wax cylinders, and a microfilm reader. Dr. Cowell scans the Latin document Prince Leto prepared for her and tosses it on an end table. Vanny, her assistant, places it carefully on a coffee table so her mistress won't lose it. Two studious and handsome-looking young men lounge on the couches nearby, reading books in a language you can't identify. You're hungry, Spade, Dr. Cowell says, and I don't like hungry kindred wandering round my domain. Please enjoy Renee or Soman. Renee is a doctoral student in robotics. Sonam is an occultist from London, by the way of a small village in Bhutan. In a year I will choose one of them. Though from what I've heard of you, neither will be suitable. She glances toward Vanny, who does not offer her throat, but instead just sends a text. A few minutes later, a pair of grad students appear. They look a bit wan, but not unhealthy. Food. I drink. Food is food, and I see a source. It's not a blood bag. So it's not hers, I don't think. You take your time with the vessel as Dr. Cowell prepares the microfish, discreetly looking away as you feed. Did Prince Leto tell you what news I should expect? Because I already know what happened to Jasper Knowles. He was a friend and a colleague, but I had to sever ties with him when I learned he was experimenting on kindred. We all must draw our line in sand somewhere. Still, I will miss him. Oh, she's so pretty! I keep doing that every time I see a new character. Oh, I always go, oh, you're so awesome! Alright. Dr. Cowell strips off her black gloves, revealing long black nails and a garnet ring. Vanny hands her a lab coat. You think quickly as Tremere twists the knob of the microfiche reader and start reading the first page of Prince Leto's document, rescinding her authority to operate this facility. You should probably say something to soften the blow. Or should you use this moment of vulnerability to learn something about the facility's secret operations? What is it, Doctor? Rennie asked. He and Saman approach the reader. A few other scholars wander in, talking quietly among themselves about the occult or scientific matters. But they keep a cautious distance from Dr. Cowell. Only Vanny is willing to get close. I need to take charge and lead her slowly toward the revelation about what's on the microfiche, so she doesn't explode into a rage on her blood dolls. Leto didn't tell me anything. It shouldn't be that hard to stay cool and lie. I don't want any of the blowback. I think it's about your work here. I started asking questions about her research, hoping my scientific knowledge will get her to reveal something interesting before she reads the bad news. I'm actually going to take charge of this. As if in truth it's only natural. You deserve to know the truth, you say. It's bad news. Oh no, Dr. Cowell whispers. Prince Leto wants to stop your research, you say, speaking quietly even as the Tremere scans the document. But I'm sure there's something we can do to stop that. Not much stops a prince of the Camarilla, Dr. Cowell says, her voice full of rage and despair as she scans the letter. She's angry, but you manage to get out ahead of the problem, and she's not ready to unleash her beast just yet. A good leader knows when to ask her advice, so you start to ask her to list her options. Tremere are happy when they're making lists. That's when Rennie puts his hand on Dr. Cowell's shoulder and says, "It's going to be okay, Invidia." Her eyes turn black. Okay? You think this is okay? She stands up and slaps Rennie, knocking the much larger man to the tiled floor. Still, you think you might be able to calm her down. You consider your words carefully, trying to figure out what to say. "Calm down!" Sonam yells. That wasn't what to say. Dr. Cowell grabs Sonam's skull. Blood runs from beneath her fingernails, alchemically transformed. It is smoke and it fulminates like acid. Sonam can't even scream as the flesh drips off his skull. It's terrifying. The other occultists scream in horror and drop their books, running for the exits, but when the corrosive steam rises from Sonam's corpse and reaches the ceiling, the facility's fire detectors go off, and a massive security door starts to close. An ear-splitting alarm goes off. Dr. Cowell turns, both hands dripping with corrosive acid that blackens the tiled floor. You throw yourself behind a couch as Dr. Cowell lashes out with her corrosive blood. The chair next to you dissolves, throwing up spumes of noxious gas. Your beast screams inside your brain, as if it were surrounded by flames. It tells you to flee, to do anything rather than confront the corrosive blood. Barely in control, you don't dare approach her to attack. Not with so much as an unnatural acid dripping from her fingers. "How could he?" Dr. Cowell screams, her face scrunched up in fury. "I have done everything for him!" She turns, a wave of corrosive blood blackens the microfiche reader, filling the room with stink of burning plastic. Her garnering flashes with thaumaturgic powers. I held the door open and ordered the humans to flee. That'll give Dr. Cowell a chance to strike at me. Nah, screw those humans. I need to talk her down. I need to stay calm and polite and ease the Tremere out of her bestial rage. I just look for somewhere to stay away from the acid until this passes. A vampire's rage doesn't last forever, after all. I circle her, then dive acrobatically out of the way of the corrosive vitae. I can dodge for longer than she can spit acid. This way she focuses on me, not the occultist. First, I focus my willpower to ignore my beast and act without fear. I will talk her down, because I've got great composure. Pachow. You approach her carefully as her hands and eyes burn. Your own hand raised, your eyes locked on hers. These are your pupils, Dr. Cowell. Your students. A Tremere would not harm them. Focus your will, banish your rage. Her eyes continue to shine, but the corrosive vitae that leaks from beneath her fingernails trickles to a halt. "Ego Tremere," she whispers. "Mentalist mich est." Her eyes return to their normal dark brown. She stares at you, stares at the slimy heap that once was her blood doll, Sonam, and collapses onto the nearest chair that is still in one piece. "You haven't caught me at my best, Spade," the Tremere says, her voice bleak. Vanny and the occultist are plastered against the far wall, unwilling to approach the Tremere. A moment later, the door flies open again, and the strange redhead woman you saw at the party strides in. She shed her green cardigan, revealing the scars on her wrist, and a t-shirt that says, "Reject technocracy, embrace tradition." What happened? She says, her eyes narrowing dangerously at you as she moves protectively toward Dr. Cal. You recognize that desperate eagerness to please and protect. It's true, then. Cal has a blood-bound. A witch? A mage. Oh. I made a mistake, Giselle. The Tremere says, her tone bleak. Sonam is dead. She seems to remember your presence. Oh, Spade, this is Giselle. She came to kill me for stealing her witchcraft, and I bound her. Now she loves me. Funny, isn't it? Don't say it like that, Giselle says, tucking a black lock behind Dr. Cowell's ear. I want to be here. I want to learn from you. Of course you do, the Tremere says. Her tone of contempt is more acidic than her fingernails. Clean up this mess, Giselle. I should put in an apprentice at the party. Make up some likely story to tell people. I know how you love explaining this sort of thing. So, Benny asked Dr. Cal a half hour later in her private office, what are we going to do? She's on Cal's desk, sitting on her hands to prevent them from shaking. Return to the party, the Tremere says. She strips out of her sooty dress with the brisk efficiency of someone unconcerned with material things. She wipes herself down with a sponge and lets Vanny hand her a slip, followed by a red and black kimono. But first, Spade, I need to deal with you, Cal says. You will remain at Kiowa Xenogenics until I have composed a response to Prince Leto. Don't speak. She holds up her hand. The garnet ring flashes dangerously. And don't worry, my response won't be a bomb I ask you to carry back. But I need time to find a way to accommodate Prince Leto's orders. Until then, you stay. Vanny, show them to their room. Your things arrive in your room a few minutes after you do. It's a large, well-appointed, windowless chamber that feels like a prison cell despite the comfortable furnishings. Vanny hands you a key card. You're not a prisoner, she says, but please don't get into any trouble. She disappears back down the hall. It looks like you're going to be here for a few nights while Dr. Cowell crafts a response to Prince Leto. On the first night, you acquire a map of the facility, intended for new hires, and notes interesting areas. Incinerator, organic slurry processing chambers 1 through 4, main security, but large sections of the map are blank. You'll have to explore on your own and get a feel for the place. I'm not going to let myself get stuck here. I head to the parking lot and move my car for a fast getaway. It'll take wits to find a good spot to hide it. I rely on my leadership talents and seek Vanny out to try and procure her as a long-term ally. Me and my crowbar friend are working tonight. It'll take some muscle, but I want to make sure I have plenty of open doors between me and the way out. Can I do anything about Dr. Cowell's occult defenses? I put my scientific education to good use and try to learn what Dr. Cowell is really doing here. I talk to the occultist, impressing them with my arcane lore and natural charm to learn what I can. I canvass the corridors of this place and look for clues. I want to know what Dr. Cowell is really doing here. It'll probably annoy Dr. Cowell, but I just mind control a scientist into telling me what Dr. Cowell is really doing here. Dominate. I hack into their computer network and learn what Dr. Cowell is really doing here. I will take Vanny as a long-term ally, as much as I really want to hack into their computer system, but I think an ally will do well first. You track Vanny down at the elegant cafe that serves as one of the KXG's 3 on-site restaurants. She's sipping a cappuccino and reviewing employee performance data. But when you appear, she smiles and turns her tablet off. Spade, isn't it? She says. I've been watching you. She looks a little wide-eyed after Dr. Cowell's tantrum the other night, but she's no longer shaking. Have you enjoyed your work with Dr. Cowell? You ask. Then, slowly, over the course of an hour or so, you lead Vanny away from Dr. Cowell, with her creepy fondness for mortals that compensates for her sudden and explosive rages, toward you. The vampires of Clan Tremere have their virtues, but few of them are natural leaders. By the end of the hour, Vanny's eyes are shining as she looks at you. I'm going to be leaving soon, you say, if Dr. Cowell lets me. You know when to get out of a conversation. You thank Vanny for her time, and leave the offer there, and head back to your room. You have an ally here now, and possibly later. You consider the medium terms. What can you do with a scientist and an administrator? Dare you consider the creation of a ghoul? The possibility intrigues you. Your inherent lifestyle has left no room for servants, but maybe it's time to establish a real base of power. I am not going to let myself get... Okay, so these are all the options from before. I am going to hack into the computer network, because I've got amazing technology skills. There's plenty of weird tech at Kiowa Xenogenics, but the computers are simply Linux boxes. The wireless is password protected, so you poke around online until you learn that some outside the spill zone researchers are using old chat systems to gossip with their peers in related fields. You download an IRC program and snoop around a few channels, posing as an IT security consultant and answering all their questions correctly. Soon, most of the people in the chat sort of forget you're there. There's a flurry of speculation about the Chinese genetic research, artificial meat, and related subjects. Using your knowledge of computer science and how it intersects with KG's research, you carefully nudge the subject back toward their own black ops. Then someone from KG's mentioned something called the snow room. A minute later, she logs off, and so do 2 other people from KXG. You bet someone is in trouble for dropping that term. The snow room. Interesting. The next night, someone knocks on your door moments after the sun sets. Giselle is standing in the doorway. She looks pale and ragged, and her long green cardigan is dark with blood where it clings to her wrist. Looks like she's been crying. Dr. Cal wants to see you, she says. Clean yourself up. You have 10 minutes. From the tone of her voice, you suspect this might be your final night at Kiowa Xenogenics. You grab everything you have, including your suitcase, and check your exits in case you have to move fast. You know you've been closely watched for several nights, and that security staff is ready in case you try to make a run for it. The only good news is that Giselle looks terrible. As you head to the spill zone, you pass Vanny, who gives you the slightest nod. You must have made an impression on her. She's willing to help you out. You're led, not to her office, but deeper into the facility until you reach a huge steel hangar-like door. This is the snow room, Giselle says, her voice tired. She glances at you out of the corner of her eye. You just shrug as if you have no idea what that is. This is where Dr. Cal and I conduct our research into how to mimic and emulate vampiric flesh. Are you happy with your work, Giselle? It's awful what the blood bond has done to this woman. I keep my mouth shut. I really want to see what Dr. Cal has been brewing in here. I scan for exits in case things go bad. I want to know what's in the box. What's in the box? The door opens silently despite its size, and a blast of cold air hits you. Cold can't hurt you unless you freeze solid, but you're still close enough to life that you find the sensation viscerally unpleasant. Giselle, her normally haughty demeanor gone, shrinks away from the cold air. When the door closes again, she's on the other side of it. Not sure exactly where to go, you pass through a cold room full of brushed steel tanks attached to thick tubes, electrical cables, and laptops propped open on folding metal desks. The next room resembles a meat locker, except the carcasses hung from iron chains aren't cows or pigs, and neat grids delineate the walls and floors. You use what little you already know about the snow room to help memorize everything you see. Everything you remember here is worth more than gold to Julian. Dr. Cal is waiting toward the back of the next chamber. She's wearing a plain black lab coat with KXG on the lapel. Here, the grid-like order of the rooms breaks down, replaced by mounds of dirty snow that slowly merge with the icy walls. Overhead, fans drive sub-zero air into the snow. Good evening, Spade, the Tremere says. I've thought long and hard about Prince Leto's message, and I think I have a solution. I want you to destroy me. I don't actually like riddles, Doctor. So you can be, what, reborn? Now I'm a little curious. Dark resurrections are cool. Before an elder destroys you for violating some tradition or another? Stupid traditions. Maybe I can drink her blood and consume her soul. I'm already a Diablerist. I can't do it again. I can do it again. I shouldn't do it again. I'm just gonna see what more she wants. I don't actually like riddles, Doctor. Then I won't waste time on theatrics. Cal picks her way over the dirty snow. After a moment, she reaches elbow deep into it and hauls out a naked woman, who stares at you blankly. Her face slack instead of animated, and you barely recognize NVIDIA Cal. The real Cal gets the corpse clone into a lab coat. The clone's feet are black with blood and decorated with Giselle's runes. No wonder the witch could barely stand. When the Camarilla banned most form of electronic communication, the real Dr. Cal says, the Tremere thought it could just build an occult network, but that was hacked, too. That's how Giselle found me. She and I are good friends now, of course. But it was clear to me that thaumaturgy, invented centuries ago, was vulnerable as any other old and unsecured communication protocol. My original plan was to use my clones as couriers, both in the normal fashion and by encoding them with information that could be read through genome analysis. But they never quite worked, and well, it seems Prince Leto disagrees with my work here anyway. She takes a moment to master her rage. Then she goes on. You're familiar with the Second Inquisition, Spade? Organized hunters. They show up when we act like monsters. Yes, they show up when the Camarilla thought it could keep us safe, and failed once again. I've been dodging their government agents. Might as well share what information I can. We're all in this together. I've heard the name. I want to stay silent before this Tremere entangles me in some plot that can get me destroyed. I'll just share that I've been dodging them. Have you tangled with the 111th? The IAO? What about the FBI branch, the Special Affairs Division? She listens. Interesting. They're all deadly, but not all hunters are like that. Some are dangerous buffoons who are in over their heads. A group like that attacked me last time I left my facility. I killed most of them, but a few got away, and they're still looking for me. I'd like to give myself to them. She gestures to her clone. Once everyone thinks I've been destroyed, I'll have time to transfer my research elsewhere, away from Leto. We're self-funding now. I don't need him. You glance around the room. It's just you, Dr. Cal, and the half-buried corpse. A few technicians up on the balcony around you. Icy pipes run out of a massive tank on the far wall. An elaborate cooling system surrounded by warning signs. Huge chain dangles from the ceiling, their purpose unclear. The doors nearby are locked. The Tremere watches you, impassively. This sounds mercenary, but what's in it for me? Who are these vampire hunters? I'm impressed by the audacity of Dr. Cal's plans, but I need more details. This sounds like a good way to get torn apart by Molotov cocktails and shotgun fire. I'm not going to get myself destroyed for Dr. Cal. I don't think we have a choice to say no. You really think you can trick Leto this way? I fear Dr. Cal is underestimating the prince. I do think she might be underestimating him. The last prince of Tucson was destroyed because he let pride overwhelm his common sense, Dr. Cal says. Leto has learned that lesson almost too well. The moment something isn't worth the resources he expends to sustain it, he cuts his losses. I'm not worth the fight. He'll let me go. You sit back and consider your options. The Tremere is probably right that the vampire hunters aren't that dangerous unless you make a mistake. Your biggest concern is the Prince of Tucson. Your relationship with the Camarilla is complex and sometimes ambiguous. But Prince Leto seems to trust you. It would be a shame to lose the trust you've built up, and Leto's no fool. He'll learn the truth eventually. On the other hand, eventually is not the same as now. Right now, you're in the heart of Dr. Cal's territory, and you know she will not take a refusal well. And just so we're clear, I'm not asking you to work for free. I can pay, obviously. Will 5,000 be sufficient? And I could teach you sorcery, and far-seeing mastery of beast and men. I think that's how Jasper used to phrase it. A bit dramatic, but true. Oh, I want disciplines. Oh! At first I wasn't convinced by the money, but blood sorcery and aspects. I want it. I want it. Oh, then she holds up her ring. Or there's this. I stole this years ago, but I've unlocked the secrets of how it holds vitae, and begun to forge an even greater version. So this could be yours, if you help. I want the power. I want the blood sorcery disciplines. Really badly. But the Camarilla... okay, we're gonna take the risk and we're gonna help her. Okay. I might be willing to help you. Are you willing to commit time to teaching me? I'm interested in helping you. Would you be willing to help a friend of mine? Julian Sim could use a blood witch of your talents. No, not helping Julian. I'm willing to help you, but I can really use your ring. It's simple, a cash payment in exchange for helping you fake your destruction. You know the Camarilla won't let me help you. I've picked my side. I don't work for you. I rise and dare her to stop me. I'm torn between I want the power and I want to say that the Camarilla won't let me do this. I want the teaching power. I want the disciplines. I'm taking them. I am, and I'll provide the necessary text for you to begin your arcane journey. We can conduct the transaction right now if you'd like. I'll help you, but you have to teach me. Secrets are more valuable than a distant prince's will. I'm interested in helping you. That's Julian. Alright, let's do it. But Leto. No, I was a simp in Bloodlines. I'm not being a simp here. Dr. Cal removes her lab coat and rolls up her sleeve. Get it over with, she says. You notice she's a bit squeamish about what she is and what her existence necessitates. Nonetheless, you kneel. Her blood is like starlight, cold, clear, full of patterns you can't understand. You drag yourself away, only a little dazed. Awful, Dr. Cal says with a little shudder. But now your real studies can begin. Your real studies consist of a syllabus, 30 pages, and a trunk full of books, 35,000 pages. Are you disappointed, Spade? She says with a little laugh. You expecting something more mystical, a bolt of cosmic enlightenment, a conversation with your holy guardian angel who would reveal the answers you seek? She bangs the trunk as technicians get ready to load it into your car. Get reading. Dr. Cal smiles, dazzling expression that ripples across her face and momentarily makes her look like a real person, not an animated corpse. But then her heavy brow knits together in thought. This will take careful timing, she says. Ideally, here's what will happen. IC-12 here gets into your car, so it looks like I'm going to Tucson to speak directly with Prince Leto. I will drive to where the vampire hunters are staying. I know several Camarilla fronts between here and Tucson. When we reach one, you text me with a number that corresponds to where you are, and then the real me tells the vampire hunters where you are. You stop to get gas, then show up. They show up. You peel out, leaving IC-12 vulnerable. They burn her to ash. Since you're at Camarilla front, at least one of Prince Leto's retainers witnesses my destruction. You've tangled with hunters before, so you and the Tremere go over every possible detail and angle of approach until late into the night. By the next evening, you're ready to go. Dr. Cal slips a positively antique burner phone into your front pocket. Text me when you find a good place, she says. I need to prepare a good disguise so I can meet the hunters. I'm still not happy with how little I know about this plan. I'm not getting dusted for some blood witch. I want to ask you about Giselle. She's suffering, you know. I don't care about Giselle. I can't wait to beat the shit out of some scrub hunters. Oh, I can't wait to beat the shit out of some scrub hunters. Cal shakes her head. Her bob hides her smile. I was young once, she said. I beat the shit out of a few hunters in my time. There's a sort of grim pleasure to it, but don't lose yourself to passion, young one. Cal disappears to make plans. IC-12 isn't much of a conversationalist, but she could follow basic instructions and even recite a few rote sentences. You pick a pair of cheap sunglasses on her face so no one notices her vacant stare. An hour outside of Tucson in a place called Mescal, you spot an eagle circling overhead. You can't tell if it's Riga, but from the overcrowded look of the nearby mobile home park, you know that kindred are active here. You pull into one of the 24-hour gas stations Dr. Cal believes prints the tow monitors, a run-down quick mart between an upscale residential neighborhood and those mobile homes. The woods dividing the communities are full of concertina wire to keep people on their side of the line. You send a text to Dr. Cal. 8. This is the 8th of the 23 locations you and she planned on. She'll pass the message along to vampire hunters, who have already been alerted to your movement in the area. Then all you have to do is shove IC-12 out the passenger door and get out. This is a good location. The garage near the gas station belongs to Prince Leteau, and another one you passed a mile back has the Carambit logo of Julian Sims Companies. You notice it on your way here. 2 defensible locations within a few miles isn't bad. You park the Honda in an out-of-the-way spot and get IC-12 outside so you don't lose the car if someone blows her up with a surplus military weaponry. Then you circle Quickmark on foot, checking for ways out of town, both in your car and on foot. When you get back within sight of your car, you spot a black Ecoline van rolling slowly through the Quickmart parking lot. Off-road light bar, rear winch, tinted windows, those are hunters. They park and 4 men hop out of the back of the truck armed with a mix of shotguns and machetes. Good weapons for putting vampires down. The driver is the last to exit. Like the others, she's wearing body armor. Her neck is conspicuously protected by an iron collar. These aren't frightened amateurs. Still, when they spot IC-12 and start closing in, you realize that Dr. Cal's plan is working. They'll be able to surround and destroy her without difficulty, and you have a clear path back to your car. Then all 5 hunters drop in less than a second. A moment later, IC-12 falls with something in her back that looks like a sparkler. She screams once as the hissing white sparkler flares, then burns her to ash. The next shot hits you dead center. You're slammed against the chain-link fence, on your knees. You hear the hiss of the flare igniting. You look down and realize it's hit the burner phone Dr. Cal gave you. You wrench it out of your front pocket, fighting your terrified beast, and hurl it away. The second later, it explodes in a shower of white sparks, momentarily blinding you. You hear radio chatter as white sparks dance before your eyes. Primary target eliminated. Irregulars removed. Engage in secondary now. 2 agents with Phoenix badges on their arms close in. Unlike a lot of hunters, these troops have identification. They're with 111th Military Intelligence Brigade. The SI must be infiltrating the U.S. Army. They're holding modified shotguns, almost certainly Dragon's Breath rounds, incendiaries that will burn you to ash. 4 more agents fan out behind them, armed with heavy automatic rifles. Their flak vests say FBI. The agents aren't wearing night vision goggles because of the flares, so they've momentarily lost you in the darkness. But they move with cool professionalism, turning on the flashlights attached to their weapons and sweeping the Quickmart parking lot. You really only have 2 choices. Do you go for your car now or later? They haven't noticed your car net. They'll find you eventually on foot, but you could try luring them away from your car, or just jump in the Honda and peel out before they're fully organized. I think... Alright, our options are, I jump in my Honda and gun it, maneuvering around the dead hunter's van. I can't risk a foot chase. I jump in my Honda, stealing my nerves. I run over the 2 agents with Dragon's Breath shotguns before they open fire, then drive out of there. I rush past them, squeezing off shots from my pistol. Their armored and small arms fire won't do much, but I keep my composure and run for the mobile home parking lot. Should be easy to beat these 3 armored troopers in a foot chase. Maybe not. I want to go for one of the car options. Either maneuver in the hunter's van, or running them over. I don't want to hurt my car, so I'm going to do the first option. I jump in my Honda and gun it, maneuvering around the dead hunter's van. I can't risk a foot chase. The dead hunters weren't complete amateurs. Their black Ecoline is perfectly positioned to block a quick getaway. You jump in the Honda and gun the engine. You instantly draw fire as you peel out, but you maneuver the Honda between the agents and a row of SUVs, buying yourself a few seconds. You squeeze past the black Ecolines and a Honda Enlightenment at 30 miles per hour. clipping the enlightenment a little. You hear your headlight break, but it's not like you've got your lights on anyway. A moment later, a bullet rips into the Ecoline and the Honda. The Honda explodes, but you're clear, ignoring the screams of your beast as the flames rise up your rearview mirror. You turn onto the main drag, lights off, moving fast as the bullets fly through the air all around you. You enjoy the freedom of the open road for about 5 seconds, then 2 black Buick Avenires peel out of a nice residential community you're driving past and try to wedge you in. You hit the brakes and they collide with each other, not you. One of the SUVs smashes through half a dozen mailboxes, spins out, and falls behind, but the other closes in. You need to make a decision fast. You might be able to outdrive them, but you're also close to both Prince Leto's territory and Julian's. You could head for either of the garages and hope that they still like you enough to let you in and fend off a combined Army, FBI, etc. kill team. My relationship with the local Camarilla is good. I race for their garage. We're not going to Julian. I hate Julian. I accelerate and lose the SUVs maneuvering through the residential community, and try not to cause too much property damage. They've already seen my maneuvers, but I can still shake them. I keep my headlights off and outwit them using my knowledge of the local streets. I pull up behind them and open fire with my guns. It'll take some impressive manual dexterity to keep one hand on the wheel and the other on the pistol. I want to check the Camarilla garage. Let's try that. The local mobile home parking lot is a tangled hive of overlapping temporary structures, so tightly packed that it must violate hundreds of zoning ordinances and local laws. The kind of slum that reeks of kindred intervention and maintenance. It's a feeding ground. At the edge of the hive is a adobe building with 2 garage bays, boarded up windows. That has to be one of the Camarilla's garages. Bullets fly past your windshield as an agent leans out the passenger window of the Buick SUV and opens fire. You slam the accelerator and weave around a recycling bin in the middle of the street. The SUV obliterates it and keeps coming. You know that garage is Camarilla, and you know they see you, but do they care? The garage door opens. You yank your Honda's e-brakes and scream inside a cloud of burned rubber, stopping an inch from the far wall. A small arms fire peppers the SUV, which suddenly veers off. Then the garage door closes. You're safe. What the hell were you thinking? A fat mechanic shouts, pointing a heavy revolver at you. They were thinking that our cover's already fucked, so they might as well hide here. Dove, Prince Leto's Nosferatu, second in command, waves the mechanic away, then asks a woman with a bolt-action rifle. Are they still out there? They've fallen back, the woman says, but they know we're here. And it's all because this fucker. The mechanic starts in again, waving a gun at you. It's because you let that rat's nest fester, Dove says. They'll probably figured us out years ago. Now the good times are over. Everyone get ready to pack your shit up. It's 4:30, but you're less than an hour from Tucson. You've dragooned into helping Dove and the locals pack up and abandon this experiment in easy living. Your car rides a little heavy, but you're surrounded by a convoy of vans and pickup trucks. The SI doesn't try anything. Dove drops you off at your parking garage and keeps moving. You've learned some interesting things about Dr. Cal's facility. Julian might want to know what you've learned. His Dropbox isn't far, and you suspect that whatever Julian gets up to with Dr. Cal's research, it may draw both Camarilla and SI attention. I kind of want to ignore Julian. So our options are, I write up everything I learned for Julian. Hopefully he'll be able to use this information to advance his plans. I write up some of what I've learned, but I want payment for my hard work. I write up what I learned about the facility and drop it in the Banu Hakim's box. It's increasingly clear that Julian is my best chance to stay alive, not the Camarilla. I'm not sharing with Julian. I can't risk alienating Prince Leto. I'm burying this research. All I can do now is make more vampires and make our awful existence more convenient. Why do you keep saying awful? I want to stay on Prince Leto's good side. You might be able to use what you've learned to fuel your own studies, but you're not sharing with Julian. Or at least you're not going to risk getting spotted sharing with Julian. Alright. I think we're going to call it there. So we went to Kiowa's Xenogenics. We met Dr. Cal. She was very angry, as predicted, But with our cool head and composure, we were able to pull off this exceptional maneuver. Now all we have to do is hope Prince Leto doesn't figure out about our little deal with the Tremere and how we basically want to learn thaumaturgy. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. My name again is Elise Hawes. You can find all of our social media down in the description below: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, you name it. And please give us a follow there. We also have our community Discord. And please, if you are enjoying this so far, give it a like. Feel free to subscribe. This has been Vampire the Masquerade Night Road.